Good morning, lovely peoples. My name is Donna Robinson and I head up DLR Accounting Solutions. It's a business where people count and we essentially ensure that business thrives. So, I set my business 13 years ago, and effectively I did this for a purpose. My why? Well, I did it because I became a single parent to these two absolute nutters. So I quit my corporate job and I set up DLR. So today, Joshua is 18, he's going to university. Taylor, who's in his last year of school, they are the bane of my life, but also the love of my life. And I wanted to set up a business to show that you can do anything you want and that nothing is impossible. So that's my kiddies. Contrary to popular belief, we're not all introverted geeks. So when I'm not getting obsessed over an Excel spreadsheet, I do like to do a lot of sort of outdoor sports. So here's just a snippet of some things that I've done in the past. There's gliding, potholing, abseiling for driving, which is my favourite. Play pigeon shooting, and most importantly, spending time with family and friends. Oops, excuse me. So here is my team. We've got Charlie, Anne-Marie, and Lynn. So altogether, we've got over 50 years experience in the accounting industry. This year, particularly next week, actually marks 13 years in business from October. And here's just a couple of pictures of the Bradford office. We've just set up one over in Colne. And if you look there, there's a picture of Charlie. When you ask this woman to just get a couple of snacks for a little shindig at Christmas, this is what she turned up with. There's four of us. So we effectively fed the 5,000 for about 6 weeks because I don't even think all the sandwiches that she bought was in there as well. So we're all just a great team of normal people. So what do we do? So we basically are a one-stop shop for small businesses. So a small business to me is sole trader, partnerships, and limited companies up to a turnover of 10 million, 5.6 million balance sheet value, and up to 50 employees. So not that small when you really think about it. We basically do your VAT returns, your management accounts, your taxes, your accounts, bookkeeping and payroll. So it is essentially that encompassing one-stop shop. But we do specialise in two key areas. First of all, new businesses. Well, I love a new business. I love talking to anybody that's thinking of, in the process of, or have set up a business in the last 12 months because it's such an exciting time. And personally, I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about my job the best. It's important really to speak to an accountant at the very beginning of your business journey. Not only to think about tax efficient and saving tax, it's about getting the right structure for your business, that individual business, so that you basically get set up to go from the beginning in the right way. It's also managing risk. You know, there's certain times that there's actual risks within your business, and sometimes choosing a different structure can really, really help. And of course, you've got your HMRC compliance to make sure that you're legally set up correctly in the first place. And then we've got another specialism that basically we kind of walked into. So 70% of our clients are actually in construction, the trades. So your plumbers, your joiners, your flooring contractors, your builders, and your electricians. And we specialise in this because it's quite a complicated, for the industry, they've got one of the complicated sort of tax systems. The poor guys have got the CIS scheme, the construction industry scheme, which is where all subcontractors are deducted tax at source, and then they have to submit a tax return to get that money back. We've got the IR35, which is effectively an argument that HMRC would argue that, if you've got a lot of subcontractors, should they be employees if they are effectively working for one company? HMRC would see it as a national insurance avoidance mechanism. And then we've got the VAT reverse charge, which came in 2022, which had a huge impact, yet again, on the construction guys, because it meant that any VAT that they should have received, their contractors keep hold of it and send it straight to HMRC. So it had a huge impact on cash flow in this industry. And of course, the reason for this is because HMRC, I don't know where it gets it from, believes that everybody that's working in construction is working in cash. And that's been around for quite a lot of years, and it's still sort of prevalent. But of course, that's why we specialise in construction, to make sure that these guys pay and also receive all the money that they are owed in a timely fashion. Woo. One of the other things that we do, it's not so much something that we sort of sell, but effectively we've got partnerships with Xero, QuickBooks, and Sage. Moving forward, we're going to have to, all self-employed and then eventually limited companies will have to file their tax returns digitally. And if you may have heard MTD, Making Tax Digital. So by utilising this accounting software, and in particular these three providers, it's a subscription base. So we decided a couple of years ago to team up with all three. And because of those partnership agreements that we've got now, it means that we can purchase licenses from all three providers and effectively get them at 50% discount. So all we do as a mechanism then is we buy the licenses in bulk. We then pass those on to the clients. The client then receives our 50% discount, which again is another cash saving mechanism. So, business success, we believe, is when you know your business. To know your business, you need to know your numbers. And it then gives you the opportunity to have a look at your business, to analyse things. So to outsource the accountancy function to us guys, we believe that this will give you time back to focus on running the business. You've got a support network for advice, particularly in our area and sometimes in other areas, because we meet lots and lots of businesses. It allows us to support you in making informed decisions and to ultimately keep you compliant. If you know your numbers, you will know your business. You then can look at things like strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and your threats. It allows you, if you have a tangible number on certain figures, you will be allowed and can look at key performance indicators. What is your goal? Are you wanting to increase revenue? Are you looking to increase net profit? There's many, many different KPIs out there. By knowing your numbers, you are able to do that. Again, it gives you informed decision making, which will save you time and ultimately will bring back business success. So, one of the obvious things to effectively save tax, and the easiest way, is to actually have more expenses. The more expenses you've got, the less tax you will naturally pay. Now, an expense in the eyes of HMRC has to be wholly and exclusively for the purpose of business. If you can justify that with the expenses that are in your accounts, then you will be able to put that into your accounts and effectively bring your profit down, which will bring down your tax. So if you are self-employed, or in fact employed, an employee, or a director of a limited company, here are just a couple of things that sometimes get missed. Now, some of these expenses you don't actually have to have receipts for. There are certain expenses on this list where it is classed as simplified expenses. And I can provide information about that if anybody wants any more information. But effectively, if you're working from home, HMRC will recognise that effectively, you've got the lights on, you've got the heating on. You are actually incurring expenses personally by working from home. So there are certain expenses that you can put through to recognise that. If you have any uniforms, workwear, specific workwear, particularly if it's branded, and any like little tools and things like that. Again, HMRC recognises that you wouldn't have bought this clothing, all these little tools, had you not been in business or employed. So therefore, you can claim things like laundry. You can claim expenses to clean your uniforms. If you have to repair them, if you've got to replace them, or any bits and bobs, all those little things can be put through as a valid, wholly and exclusively for the purpose of business expense. You've also got use of your personal vehicle and any other equipment that you could have used. Say, for example, you've got working from home. You've probably bought a desk. You've probably bought a chair, you've got a monitor, printer, computer, laptop, tablet, things like that. Again, all personal expenses that you require to be able to do your job. There's also things like professional fees and subscriptions. Now, this one is often missed, and it's thinking about things like if you're a member of a professional body, for example, so like myself, the ACCA, I have to pay a fee each and every year to be a member. Things like that are relevant to work expenses. You've also got things like, have you got Canva? Have you got a subscription to Adobe? Microsoft licenses? Have you even got a magazine subscription? Federation of Small Businesses? Anything like that is wholly and exclusively for the purpose of business and therefore can be a tax deductible expense. You've also got travel, subsistence and overnight. So if you're working away or you have to travel for work, you can claim things like your train tickets, accommodation, anything like that, as well as even your coffee and your sandwich, your subsistence, your lunch, if you are working away. And effectively, all of these expenses can be claimed and they do add up. So you can claim them when you're self-employed and when you're an employee or a director of a limited company. You can do that through HMRC Direct, and what they will do is they just change your tax code, or you can provide that on your self-assessment tax return. So my name's Donna at DLR Accounting Solutions. It's a business where people can, and we essentially ensure that businesses thrive. I've got 25 years in the industry, the accounting industry, for my sins. 18 years being a chartered accountant. I'd love to have a coffee and a chat to see where I can help anybody in business. Thank you. Any questions?
Donna, any questions, anybody?
It's not necessarily a question, but I think, Donna, that's something that really does resonate with me, and I get this asked. I talk to people about this a lot, is that people say, I'm not ready for an accountant when they start a business if you're out networking and they've just started. And I say, no, you need to talk to an accountant to make sure you've got your business structured correctly and the most tax efficiently when you are considering going self-employed, limited company or whatever. So I think I think that's really something that's resonated with me today, that you said very early on that people are scared of talking to accountants too early, and there's never too early, in my opinion. So I think that was I just want to just kind of solidify that more than anything.
It very much is the perfect time to get that added value from your accountant, because if you don't structure the business correctly at the beginning, it can be very costly in terms of tax, but also in other ways. So yeah, I'm a great believer that it is the most important time to speak to an accountant.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, Donna, you can unpick what you've done, because there's obviously the timing issue of when things have to be submitted and reported, and to go back and backdate that and make sure that everything's covered off if somebody's switching from, say, self-employed to limited, it can be, again, that's timely. And if you'd have had that conversation up front, it would save you a lot of time and probably cash if you've got to pay an accountant to do it.
I was just about to say that it could be financially costly as well if you're not sure about how to do it. Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Donna, just to explain those who don't know me, when I was joking before about accountants being boring, I'm a chartered accountant as well. But this business about expenses, the difference between employed and self-employed is that for a self-employed, you can claim expenses if they are incurred wholly and exclusively for the purpose of the trade.
Yes.
Whereas an employee has to demonstrate that they are incurred wholly, exclusively, and necessarily for the purpose of their employment.
Of their job. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, when I used to do your job, I did have some interesting discussions with the taxman on the necessarily bit.
Donna, that was a great presentation. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, it was.
One thing I was wondering is, are you particularly looking for introductions to people in the construction industry? Because that was obviously, what you were saying was your particular specialism. So is that the sort of intros that you're looking for? So if we keep our on the lookout for that, or is there something wider, or what intros would you like?
Yeah, in all fairness, I'd like to stick to the specialism that we've got. What do they say? Specific is terrific. So yeah, anybody that's working in the construction industry, because that's, I really would like to focus on that, because that's where the knowledge, the particular knowledge and specialism is. So yes, please.
Donna, Rob stole my question, but the one thing that I did want to say was I absolutely love your strap line. I think where people count just explains exactly what you do, and it's just memorable and absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thanks, Nigel.